okay, I was just saying how the time factor, how once all of Brahma's life for Krishna is 1 second. So when the purport was talking about Jai and Vijay when they left the spiritual planet, and they're going to be returning shortly.
Yeah,
I was thinking for Krishna is that small time period, but
right.
it seems like so long. That's what I was.
Yeah,
thinking.
very good. Good
Also, if I may
observation.
ask just one last question,
Sure.
the people in Vaikuntha, they are living the entire Chatusloki for the four verses. That's their life, right? Because
Yeah,
they're constantly engaged in Krishna. That's they're constantly living out that the Chatusloki verses, right?
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. To the ultimate degree, to the infinite degree. The residents in Vaikuntha are Trikala Gyan. That means they are completely conscious. We had a discussion the other day with some other devotees about what do the residents of Vrindavan actually know about how the people are in the material world? Do they even think about it? It's not the primary thing in their minds, but certainly they're aware. They're totally conscious. The spiritual world is filled with knowledge, bliss, and it's eternal. So knowledge means they're totally aware of everything. That's one of the characteristics. Good. Okay, let's go on now with Faye. Would you like to continue reading? Thank you, Mamatarji.
Good morning, Mataji.
Good
Hare
morning.
Krishna. The Lord then said to his attendants, Jaya and Vijay, depart this place, but fear not. All glories unto you. Though I am capable of nullifying the Brahmana's curse, I would not do so. On the contrary, it has my approval. This departure from Vaikuntha was foretold by Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune. She was very angry because when she left my abode and then returned, you stopped her at the gate while I was sleeping. The Lord assured the two Vaikuntha inhabitants, Jai and Vijay, by practicing the mystic yoga system in anger, you will be cleansed of the sin of disobeying the Brahmanas, and within a very short time return to me. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. As explained in the connection with text 26, all the incidents that took place had the approval of the Lord. Ordinarily, there is no possibility that the four sages could be so angry with the doorkeepers, nor could the Supreme Lord neglect his two doorkeepers. Nor can one come back from Vaikuntha after once taking birth there. All of these incidents, therefore, were designed by the Lord himself for the sake of his pastimes in the material world. Thus he plainly says that it was done with his approval. Otherwise, it would have been impossible for the inhabitants of Vaikuntha to come back to this material world simply because of a Brahminical curse. The Lord especially blesses the so-called culprits. All glories unto you. A devotee, once accepted by the Lord, can never fall down. That is the conclusion of this incident.
Now that is great news. Great news. That's wonderful. What do you think, Faye? Can you add to the greatness of this news?
No, ma'am. The news is fantastic.
Jai. Okay, good. We're all on the right trip. This is wonderful. And sometimes people are bewildered about this whole subject matter, but once we go back to Godhead, that means we're purely qualified to associate with Krishna. And It's a safe place. So that's where we all want to be. Okay, let's go on. Thank you, Faye. Anita, would you like to read, Anita?
Yes. Yeah, Hare Krishna Mataji. Yes.
Hare
Srimad
Krishna.
Bhagavatam 3:16-32. After thus speaking, at the door of Vaikuntha, the Lord returned to his abode, where there are many celestial airplanes and all surpassing wealth and splendor. Purport. It is clear from this verse that all the incidents took place at the entrance of Vaikuntha Loka. In the other words, the sages were not actually within Vaikuntha Loka, but were at the gate. It could be asked, how could they return to the material world if they entered Vaikuntha Loka? But factually, they did not enter, and therefore they returned. There are many similar incidents where great yogis and brahmanas, by dint of their yoga practice, have gone from this material world to Vaikuntha Loka, but they were not meant to stay there. They came back. It is also confirmed here that the Lord was surrounded by many Vaikuntha airplanes. Vaikuntha Loka is described here as having splendid opulence, far surpassing the splendor of this material world. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Anita. That sounds like a place we want to go to, right?
Yes.
Very good. Okay, shall we go on? Let's go on with Tisha reading. Tisha?
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, this is 3:16, verse 33 through 35. But those two gatekeepers, the best of the demigods, their beauty and luster diminished by the curse of the Brahmanas, became morose and fell from Vaikuntha, the abode of the Supreme Lord. Then, as Jaya and Vijaya fell from the Lord's abode, a great roar of disappointment arose from all the demigods who were sitting in their splendid airplanes. Lord Brahma continued, these two principal doorkeepers of the personality of Godhead have now entered the womb of Diti, the powerful semen of Kasyapa Muni having covered them. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Here is the clear proof of how a living entity coming originally from Vaikuntha Loka is encaged in material elements. The living entity takes shelter within the semen of a father, which is injected within the womb of a mother, and with the help of the mother's emulsified ovum, the living entity grows a particular type of body. In this connection, it is to be remembered that the mind of Kasyapa Muni was not in order when he conceived the two sons, Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. Therefore, the semen he discharged was simultaneously extremely powerful and mixed with the quality of anger. It is to be concluded that while conceiving a child, one's mind must be very sober and devotional. For this purpose, the Garbhodanya Samskara is recommended in the Vedic scriptures. If the mind of the father is not sober, the semen discharged will not be very good. Thus, the living entity wrapped in the matter produced from the father and mother will be demoniac, like Hiranyakasha and Hiranyakashipu. The conditions of conception are to be carefully studied. This is a very great science.
And this Garbhodanya Samskara is it's actually the seed giving ceremony. There's a lot of ritualistic things. Prabhupada condensed it and also chanting 50 rounds a day if you're going to conceive a child. Okay, everyone understand?
One other point.
Yeah.
Throughout Srimad Bhagavatam, there are various lessons to be learned. And in this pastime, obviously, starting back from the pregnancy of Diti being so explicitly described and narrated, this element of creating good progeny. After all, the Vedas are meant to instruct human beings in the universe what to do and how to do it. So conceiving children in order to create a good population is one of the teachings that's essential. Of course, in this Kali Yuga, we can see it's a horrible situation, and it's horrible, and it's perpetuating itself because people are in complete ignorance about these details. But Srimad Bhagavatam does have the answer. God has provided those details for humanity if they care to listen. But unfortunately, not many do. Haribol.
There's a place in one of the purports that we're going to come up to where Prabhupada defines the demoniac and the devotional or demigod characteristic. And the main thing is that the demon does not accept authority, does not accept the authority of the Lord, the proper authority, and the demigod or devotee is in acceptance of that. So this is a big problem in the world. But this world belongs to those who want to forget about Krishna. All right, let's go on. Madhurya Leela. Wait a second. Tisha, did you want to say something? Is everything clear to you?
Yes, thank you. I just
Okay.
love that Prabhupada said this is a very good science. I thought that was great.
Yeah, everything. This talk about science that we're studying the science, how to have children. Of course, there's no science. It's like anti-science, how having children, if it feels good to it. And then what do you do with it? Oh, Madhurya, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna have Madhurya read for a while. Thank you. Thank you, Tisha.
This is Bhagavatam 3:16, 36 to 37. It is the prowess of these twin asuras, demons, that has disturbed you, for it has minimized your power. There's no remedy within my power, however, for it is the Lord himself who desires to do all this. My dear sons, the Lord is the controller of the three modes of nature and is responsible for the creation, preservation, and dissolution of the universe. His wonderful creative power, Yogamaya, cannot be easily understood even by the masters of yoga. That most ancient person, the personality of Godhead, will alone come to our rescue. What purpose can we serve on his behalf by deliberating on the subject? Did you want me to read this?
Yeah, please.
Brahma showed the demigods that the situation created by the darkness for which they were disturbed was the desire of the Supreme Lord. He wanted to show that even though these two attendants were coming in the forms of demons, they were very powerful, greater than the demigods, who could not control them. No one can surpass the acts of the Supreme Lord. The demigods were also advised not to try to counteract this incident, because it was ordered by the Lord. Similarly, anyone who is ordered by the Lord to perform some action in this material world, especially preaching his glories, cannot be counteracted by anyone. The will of the Lord is executed under all circumstances. When something is arranged by the Supreme Personality Godhead, one should not be disturbed by it, even if it appears to be a reverse according to one's calculations. The Bhagavatam's conclusion is that a devotee is never disturbed by such reverses. He accepts even reverse conditions as the grace of the Lord. One who continues to serve the Lord even in reverse conditions is assured that he will go back to Godhead, back to the Vaikuntha planets. Lord Brahma assured the demigods that there was no use in talking about how the disturbing situation of darkness was taking place, since the actual fact was that it was ordered by the Supreme Lord. Brahma knew this because he was a great devotee. It was possible for him to understand the plan of the Lord.
Now that last paragraph, we should stamp on our heads, stamp on our hearts. Madhurya, would you like to say something more about this? And Chaita, then we'll hear from you, okay?
Well, yeah, like I said, the last paragraph, one should not be disturbed by any reverses. in one's life, because that is the plan of the Lord. So, and if one accepts that, then good things come of it, even though seemingly bad at the beginning.
Right.
But in the end, it all works out by Krishna's plan
Right.
for the best.
Yeah. Good way to get rid of the mental platform, eh? You know,
Yeah.
just this is Krishna's plan. Okay, thank you, Madhuriji. Cheta, did you have a question?
Yeah, you said it, Samapriya, that the mental platform is something we really get stuck on. And I so appreciate the last word, the last sentence in this final verse. What purpose can we serve on his behalf by deliberating on the subject? And we spend so much time deliberating. I mean, at least among family members and friends, when things happen, we're always second guessing Krishna and saying, maybe this happened for this reason or that reason, and so much mental energy is wasted in that endeavor. And the key word is, what purpose can we serve on his behalf? So we spend this time deliberating because we're doing it on our behalf and not in service of Krishna.
Right. And the demigods were surrendered. That was another point. That they're surrendered souls. This is, you see, oh, this is happening. This is Krishna's arrangement. This is a very important paragraph. I think everybody should read it and reread it and meditate on it. When I first read it, I was like, that was all the answers. We had a discussion about that. It's really profound. Thank you. Okay, we're going to go on to the next chapter now, right? The next chapter. And if Premananda would grace us and read a few of these verses from the next chapter. Here, nice verse and purport.
Okay, chapter 17, victory of Hiranyaksha over all the directions of the universe. Text 1, Sri Maitreya said, the demigods, the inhabitants of the higher planets, were freed from all fear upon hearing the cause of the darkness explained by Brahma, who was born from Vishnu. Thus, they all returned to their respective abode, to their respective planets. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The demigods, who are denizens of higher planets, are also very much afraid of incidents such as the universes becoming dark, and so they consulted Brahma. This indicates that the quality of fear exists for every living entity in the material world. The four principal activities of material existence are eating, sleeping, fearing, and mating. The fear element exists also in the demigods. On every planet, even in the higher planetary systems, including the moon and the sun, as well as on this earth, the same principles of animal life exist. Otherwise, why are the demigods also afraid of the darkness? The difference between the demigods and ordinary human beings is that the demigods approach authority, whereas the inhabitants of this earth defy authority. If people would only approach the authority, then every adverse condition in this universe would be rectified. The conclusive instruction of this incident is that we may be disturbed by some material condition, but if we approach the authority who can actually explain the matter, then our problem is solved. The demigods approached Brahma for the meaning of the disturbance, and after hearing from him, they were satisfied and returned home peacefully.
Okay, Premananda, what do you think of all that conclusive evidence?
Well, in the first paragraph, I think, thanks to Srila Prabhupada, he is saying us that our destination should really be to go back to God and not even the heavenly planets, which mostly the materialists and the karma kandis, their aspiration is go to the heavenly planets. And the fact is the heavenly planets too, which is not deprived of birth, death, old age, and disease. So thanks to Srila Prabhupada, he has shown us what our real goal is, where our real home is. So thanks to that. And the last paragraph, can I see the screen again? Okay, so in the second paragraph, it basically shows the difference between demigods and human beings. And it says that we should really follow our acharyas in the parampara system if we have to follow the authority properly. Otherwise, we are as good as the demoniac people who don't follow authority.
Very good. That's where I read it. That's where I've spoken about it before. Very wonderful.
One important point
That's-
that came out while Premananda was reading that kind of jumped out at the page at me was that the problem didn't go away. It doesn't mean that the problem is going to go away. It means that you understand why it's taking place and how you can adjust your consciousness to deal with it. But it doesn't mean that because you pray to God or accept the authority, all of a sudden all this dissipated. That didn't happen, but everybody had to remain patient, tolerate the disturbances, and wait for Krishna's plan to unfold.
Well, that's wise. It's the nature of the world that there's disturbance, opposite from Vaikuntha, filled with bliss and knowledge. This place is filled with misery, ignorance, and it's temporary. So take your choice. We have to go through a little austerities, but this is why we're hearing all of this. Prabhupada is giving us axiomatic truths to follow so that we can become detached from this world. You know, Maya's good. She just, I'm being detached, and then all of a sudden she comes in. We have to really defeat that by being totally convinced. And that comes with constant hearing and chanting. So, and we're practicing that, so we're good. Okay, Premananda, thank you. It's nice to hear your voice again. Okay, so Chaitanya, would you like to read?
Yes, Mata, thank you. Hare Krishna, everyone. Good morning. So, Canto 3, chapter 17, verses 2 through 14. Oh boy. The virtuous Lady Diti had been very apprehensive of trouble to the gods from the children in her womb, and her husband predicted the same. She brought forth twin sons after a full 100 years of pregnancy. On the birth of the two demons, there were many natural disturbances, all very fearful and wonderful. In the heavenly planets, the earthly planets, and in between them. There were earthquakes along the mountains on the earth, and it appeared that there was fire everywhere. Many inauspicious planets like Saturn appeared, along with comets, meteors, and thunderbolts. There blew winds which were most uninviting to the touch, hissing again and again, and uprooting gigantic trees. They had storms for their armies and clouds of dust for their ensigns. The luminaries in the heavens were screened by masses of clouds in which lightning sometimes flashed as though laughing. Darkness reigned everywhere and nothing could be seen. The ocean with its high waves wailed aloud as if stricken with sorrow, and there was a commotion among the creatures inhabiting the ocean. The rivers and lakes were also agitated, and lotuses withered. Ominous planets such as Mars and Saturn shone brighter and surpassed the auspicious ones such as Mercury, Jupiter, and Venus, as well as a number of lunar mansions. Taking seemingly retrograde courses, the planets came in conflict with one another.
Go on,
Purport
Chaitanya.
by Srila Prabhupada. When there are natural disturbances like blowing cyclones, too much heat or snowfall, and uprooting of trees by hurricanes, it is to be understood that the demoniac population is increasing, and so the natural disturbance is also taking place. There are many countries over the globe, even at the present moment, where all these disturbances are current. This is true all over the world. There is insufficient sunshine, and there are always clouds in the sky, snowfall, and severe cold. These assure that such places are inhabited by demoniac people who are accustomed to all kinds of forbidden, sinful activity. The entire universe is moving under the three modes of material nature. Those living entities who are in goodness are called the pious species, pious lands, pious trees, etc. It is similar with the planets also. Many planets are considered pious and others are considered impious. Saturn and Mars are considered impious. When the pious planets shine very brightly, it is an auspicious sign. But when the inauspicious planets shine very brightly, this is not a very good sign.
Well, that was a lot.
What
What do you have to say? Can you comment to that? You want to say something?
All I can do is concur on that, because since I've been alive, that's been the condition of the planet. And sometimes the media will present an image of a beautiful sunny day and everybody's happy, and it's kind of almost a concoction of what the spiritual world could be like. But the reality is that all over the planets, like he's saying, these conditions are current. And it's, my gosh, it's so disturbing. And if we're sober, we'll pay attention and we'll say, yes, we really don't belong here.
Good. Yeah, it's as simple as that. Thank you. Very good. Let's go on. Jayashree, can you read a little for us?
Sure.
Thank you.
Srimad Bhagavatam 3:17-15. Marking these and many other omens of evil times, everyone but the 4 sage sons of Brahma, who were aware of the fall of Jai and Vijay and of their birth as deity's sons, were seized with fear. They did not know the secrets of these portents and thought that the dissolution of the universe was at hand. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. We can learn from the description of the Srimad Bhagavatam that it is because of the birth of 2 great demons that there were so many natural disturbances. It is to be indirectly understood, as previously described, that when there are constant disturbances on the earth, that is an omen that some demoniac people have been born, or that the demoniac population has increased. In former days, there were only 2 demons, those born of Diti, yet there were so many disturbances. At the present day, especially in this age of Kali, these disturbances are always visible, which indicates that the demoniac population has certainly increased. People are very anxious for peace in the world, but there are so many unwanted children born without the benefit of the Garbhadan ceremony, just like the demons born from Diti. Diti was so lusty that she forced her husband to copulate at a time which was inauspicious, and therefore the demons were born to create disturbances. In having sex life to beget children, one should observe the process for begetting nice children. If each and every householder in every family observes the Vedic system, then there are nice children, not demons, and automatically there is peace in the world. If we do not follow regulations in life for social tranquility, we cannot expect peace. Rather, we will have to undergo the stringent reactions of natural laws.
Wow. So Jayashree has a very nice, very large family.
Yeah.
So what can you tell us about this? About what Prabhupada is saying here? Do you have any comment on this?
Well,
It's loaded. This is a loaded question. My goodness.
Yes, it is. So, yeah, I mean, there are.
You have so many wonderful children and their devotees.
And
Okay, we're
some
waiting.
of them more devotional than others, but some of them born in holy places, and others not, but somehow or other, we're trying to give some spirit souls a chance to hear Prabhupada's message and, take advantage and get out of this material world. And then ultimately they also have their free will to do what they're going to do. So it may, it's true with any of us. So it can take this lifetime, it can take a moment, it can take a few lifetimes, but it's not lost. So, but this, it is scary when I was reading this about the weather and, all these demoniac population increasing is kind of like overwhelming because we see it so much. Like Chaitra was saying, just hurricanes, and it's awful, all this natural disturbances. So we try to decrease the demoniac population, but we really can't do that. So we want to, as grihastas, increase the not demonic, more
The pious.
the pious.
The pious and devotees, the devotees.
Yeah, and hope that they can get others to be Krishna conscious too. It's rough.
Rough. Because why do you think it's rough? People are addicted to sin. That's the whole thing. No one's disciplined. It's there. We're all, the way of life is sinful. The 4 regulative principles, that's like, what? People can't live without eating meat and getting intoxicated and having illicit sex. What? You can take, it's the whole culture is based on sinful activities. So, and the holy name is so kind that just a little purification by hearing, then the process begins. What to speak of somebody born in a Vaishnava family, like all of your children, which are, it's very, very fortunate, all of them actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. What's that?
I hope they take advantage of that,
Well, it takes time, as you said, and I'm sure they will. They will. Youth is something, sometimes they say youth is wasted on the young because we don't understand our opportunity because of the mode of passion and ignorance and all the stimulants in the material world. But getting that opportunity, they don't forget it. It doesn't leave. They don't forget it. I remember, I'll tell you a real quick story. My daughter, what was that?
Yeah. Though they may try, they can't.
Yeah, right. Though they may try. So my daughter went out dancing like 20 years ago with some other Gurukulis, and they're trying to whatever. So then the band, what do you think the band plays? Hare Krishna. So they all jumped out of the dance floor and they were just like, it was like a magic moment. All the coolies out in this disco on the dance floor chanting Hare Krishna. I thought that is Krishna's getting them.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, little things happen like that often. They run into somebody and they're like, it's a devotee kid, like.
Of course. It's wonderful.
Yeah, it is wonderful.
Thank you, Jayashree.
Okay.
All right, let's go on. Ian, are you there, my friend? Ian?
Krishna, can you hear me? Hello, Bruce.
Yes, we hear very loudly. Very
glad to have you guys back, Hare Krishna.
I think you're a bit loud. Maybe I'm too. Is everybody?
Yeah.
Lower it down a teeny.
Can I take?
There you go. Okay.
How is it? Is it better now?
Is everybody thinking that Ian is a little louder?
Everybody can change. He has trouble with his audio.
Okay. Just keep reading, Ian. We're good.
Okay. Hello. So.
Thank you.
She's 17, 16 to 18. The two demons who appeared in ancient times soon began to exhibit uncommon bodily features. They had steel-like frames which began to grow just like two great mountains. The bodies became so tall that they seemed to kiss the sky with the crests of the gold crowns. They blocked the view of all directions, and while walking, shook the earth at every step. Their arms were adorned with brilliant bracelets, and they stood as if covering the sun with their waists, which were bound with excellent and beautiful girdles. Prajapati Kashyap, the creator of the living entities, gave his twin sons their names. The one who was born first, he named Hiranyaksha, and one who was first conceived by Diti, he named Hiranyakashipu. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. There are two classes of men in the world. One is called the demon, the other called the demigod. The demigods concern themselves with the spiritual upliftment of human society, whereas the demons are concerned with physical and material upliftment. The two demons born of Diti began to make their bodies as strong as iron frames, and they were so tall that they seemed to touch outer space. They were decorated with valuable ornaments, and they thought that this was success in life. Originally, it was planned that Jaya and Vijay, the two doorkeepers of Vaikuntha, were to take birth in this material world, where, by the course of the stages, they were to play the part of always being angry with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As demonic persons, they became so angry that they were not concerned with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but simply with physical comforts and physical upliftment.
Unmute, Sama.
Okay. All right. What, do you have something to say about that, Ian? Boy, that went quick. I guess I'm losing my place here.
Yeah, can you?
Go on. Oh, you want to put the words back, Patsy?
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, so we will see the description how you know how the appearance look. You know the uncommon body features, and you know began to grow like two great mountains. You know the bodies became so tall that it seemed to kiss the sky with the crest of their gold crowns. So in other words, they were unnaturally, you know, in terms of how they were constructed. The arms were bound with brilliant bracelets, and they stood as if covering the sun with their waists, which were bound with excellent and beautiful girdles. In other words, the appearance was something outstanding, extraordinary.
Wealth, a great deal of wealth.
Yes. Okay. So the one who was born first was Hiranyaksha, and the other was born first conceived by DTE named Hiranyakashipu. And the last line of the purport, as demonic persons, they became so angry that they were not concerned with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but simply with physical comforts and physical upliftment.
So that pretty much sums up, doesn't it?
Yes.
What demoniac people are interested in.
Yes,
Forget
that's basically
about God, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So that's what we're dealing with. And some people who are so absorbed in the material world, and it keeps on getting more and more. It's very hard to
Yes.
undo that lock and chain.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you, Ian.
It's always looking for more. Everybody.
Yeah, always looking for more and never satisfied. Never
Right.
satisfied. That's the whole thing, to be satisfied with the Lord's plan for you. That seems to be a real challenge for human beings. So thank you, Ian. Mandantara, will you read again?
Text 19. The elder child, Hiranyakashipu, was unafraid of death from anyone within the three worlds because he received a benediction from Lord Brahma. He was proud and puffed up due to this benediction and was able to bring all three planetary systems under his control. Purport. As will be revealed in later chapters, Hiranyakashipu underwent severe austerity and penance to satisfy Brahma and thus receive a benediction of immortality. Actually, it is impossible even for Lord Brahma to give anyone the benediction of becoming immortal. But indirectly, Hiranyakashipu received the benediction that no one within this material world would be able to kill him. In other words, because he originally came from the abode of Vaikuntha, he was not to be killed by anyone within this material world. The Lord desired to appear himself to kill him. One may be very proud of his material advancement and knowledge, but he cannot be immune to the four principles of material existence, namely birth, death, old age, and disease. It was the Lord's plan to teach people that even Hiranyakashipu, who was so powerful and strongly built, could not live more than his destined duration of life. One may become as strong and puffed up as Hiranyakashipu and bring under his control all the three worlds, but there is no possibility of continuing life eternally or keeping the conquered booty forever. So many emperors have ascended to power, and they are now lost in oblivion. That is the history of the world.
Wow. That's food for thought, isn't it?
Yes.
So many, that last line, so many emperors have ascended to power, and then now they're in oblivion, right? If you think of the past history, all this wealth of history, everyone's studying the history, for what? It's all gone. What's the real, how pleasurable is that? What do you got to say, Manvantaraji? Manvantara, can you comment?
Yeah, so no one lives forever, especially when you're not using your life to the fulfillment of God consciousness or uplifting the world like the demigods are doing, right?
Right. I mean, we can make our lives eternal. Prabhupada says no one can live forever. We are all eternal and we can live forever, but we have to give up the material world. And that goes very deep in our hearts. But we know the process.
From a
very benedicted.
From a little bit different point of view. One of the things that makes any story or adventure tasty and wonderful is the power of the adversary against the good and evil. And here we see that these two brothers, having come from Vaikuntha into the material world, are more powerful than anyone else within this material world. Even Hiranyaksha, this is describing Hiranyakasipu. As we read on, it was interesting. It also said later, there's just one sentence or something, where it describes that Hiranyaksha also received the benediction from Brahma and thus became very proud. So I tried to do some research, couldn't find anything real authentic, but the point was that he also worshiped Lord Brahma, underwent great austerities and penances, because Brahma is the topmost being in this universe. And he similarly asked him for the benediction of immortality. Brahma explained to him that he couldn't give it because he himself doesn't have it. So then Hiranyaksha went through a whole list, but he didn't even include animals or times of day. And therefore, later on, when his brother did please Brahma, he increased the list, thinking that by increasing his benedictions, that he could actually thwart the plan of the Lord and stop his death. And this is the nature of demons. But the point being described here is that they actually, what did it say? Controlled the three worlds. He actually took over the universe. Both of them did. So that's, we'll read later how even the demigods couldn't fight with him. So it's actually increasing the strength of the adversary personality, the character of the demon, so that when the Supreme Lord comes and fights with him, oh, it's a better fight than we can even imagine.
Another point is that the only living entities who could be that powerful are the residents of Vaikuntha. A human being cannot be that powerful. We have little demons. We have little demons here in the human sphere, but only a resident from Vaikuntha ordained to come down because of the Lord's order. No, that's what when Brahma told the demigods, they said, all right, he said, look, you're not going to, there's no way you're going to defeat him. Only Krishna can defeat him because he's a Vaikuntha man. These are residents of Vaikuntha. So the quality is that they are completely powerful. They have it over everyone in the material world. No one can kill them. This is one of also the characteristics of the Vaikunthas. So if anybody thinks that they fell from Vaikuntha, let's see him display such characteristics. Okay. Faye, why don't you continue with this reading?
Thank you, Mataji. Srimad Bhagavatam 3.17, 20 through 22. His younger brother, Hiranyaksha, was always ready to satisfy his elder brother by his activities. Hiranyaksha took a club on his shoulder and traveled all over the universe with a fighting spirit just to satisfy Hiranyakasipu. Hiranyaksha's temper was difficult to control. He had anklets of gold tinkling about his feet. He was adorned with a gigantic garland, and he rested his huge mace on one of his shoulders. His mental and bodily strength, as well as the boon conferred upon him, made him proud. He feared death at the hands of no one, and there was no checking him. The gods, therefore, were seized with fear at his very sight, and they hid themselves, even as snakes hide themselves, for fear of Garuda. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The maniac spirit is to train up all family members to exploit the resources of this universe for personal sense gratification, whereas the godly spirit is to engage everything in the service of the Lord. Hiranyakasipu was himself very powerful, and he made his younger brother, Hiranyaksha, powerful to assist him in fighting with everyone and lording it over the material nature as long as possible. If possible, he wanted to rule the universe eternally. These are demonstrations of the spirit of the demonic living entity.
And I'm sure we've all run against that, haven't we? What do you think, Faye? You have something to add to this?
I think if I gave them a nickname, I would call them Double in Trouble. As twins, they
Double in trouble.
Double in trouble. Their demonic propensities are magnified, and as our teacher mentioned, we're seeing the stage set up for such a powerful battle and such a powerful place and scene for the Lord to exhibit his fighting spirit. So that's what we're waiting to see next.
Very good. All right, let's finish this up. And Premananda, would you like to read?
Yes. Srimad Bhagavatam 3:17, 23 through 25.
Excuse me one sec, Premananda. I just saw that Madhurya Leela raised her hand, so there might be a discussion on the previous.
Okay. Madhurya?
Yeah, sorry. I just had a question about that statement that nobody falls from Vaikuntha other than the Lord's plan, by the Lord's plan. So how are we to understand that in relation to us?
This is a big topic for discussion, and there seems to be a lot of controversy. So when Prabhupada was presented with this chapter and everything that Prabhupada is saying about the strength of the Vaikuntha living being and how nobody actually, once you're in Vaikuntha, you cannot leave, of course, unless the Lord ordains it for some service. This is like extremely extreme evidence of that. But on the other side, if people persist on discussing this, Prabhupada did say that if there is a fire in the house, why waste time looking for the match? Just get out. So, it could be something that people churn and churn and churn. I choose to get out of the house. And I was just noticing that in this section, there is, and we can have a discussion like that at a different time, I think. Because people seem to get off into all different kinds of things for that. But I would say that just let's concentrate on getting out of the material world. What do you think, Patti?
I think another way to say that is that this topic can never be conclusively answered, whether the living entity falls from Vaikuntha or comes from the Brahmajyoti or is expanded from Sankarshan. There are different evidences. There are so many different commentaries. There's different books that have been written on it. So Prabhupada gave that one story about the crow and the tall tree. There was a tree which had fruit in it, and two people were sitting down below the tree, and they were sitting there. And a bird came, and just he was about to land on the tree, the fruit fell. So one of the people said, "Oh, look, the bird disturbed the tree, and the fruit fell." And the other one said, "No, it never even touched the fruit. It actually fell because it was ripe. It was just coincidence that it fell." Now you can go on unlimitedly discerning one or the other and never come to a conclusion, because that can never be figured out. So in the same way, since time immemorial, the living entity has been in this material world. Time immemorial means it cannot be traced out. So although it is a topic that a lot of devotees discuss, and there are lively discussions, in this format, in our particular context, it's a difficult place, because we can go on forever discussing it. But in this, as Samapriya was pointing out, in this chapter, you read the purports, you hear what was being said by Srila Prabhupada. It is extremely strong evidence that no one ever falls from Vaikuntha. So that's my take on it.
I agree with what you're saying, and I follow that same line of thinking. But because it said in this purport specifically that no one falls because of without the desire of the Lord, so it just made me think, well,
Right.
Yeah, sure.
but we made the wrong decision, and so we're here. But
Actually, we always make the wrong decision. If we continue to make the wrong decision, we remain. Let's just put it that. And the wrong decision is every moment of the day, we have to make the right decision, which means remembering Krishna and achieving Krishna, pleasing Krishna as our life's work. That's the right decision. So, and then we fall in love with Krishna, and then that whole thing starts to become alive within us again. So we got a lot of work to do, and it will all be revealed when we go back to Godhead. How's that?
thanks. Thanks.
And we're going. We are all going. Is everyone here going back to Godhead? Say yes. We are. Mama Tara.
According to the class that was given the other day, they were saying, yeah, it's not that it's automatic. It takes time.
Right.
It takes
It does
several
take time.
lifetimes.
Right. All that having been said, we are right here at the doorstep because we have the holy name in Prabhupada's books. So, that's it. Follow the principles. Don't be demoniac. Be like a demigod, and don't cause harm. And chant Hare Krishna. What's the difficulty? All right, let's.
One of the benedictions of hearing these pastimes will be discussed, I think, probably next week. So the fruit of hearing these pastimes and studying these pastimes will be described, and we can take that as great nourishment.
Yay. Okay, so let's finish up with Tisha. Would you like to read? Is that all right, Madhurya? Okay, Tisha.
Okay, yes, thank you.
Yes, thanks.
Okay, is this where we are? 35? I'm not following it properly. Is this where we're at materialistic? Okay, go on.
Okay.
Tisha.
Is Srimad Bhagavatam 3:17, verse 23 through 25. On not finding Indra and the other demigods who had previously been intoxicated with power, the chief of the Daityas, seeing that they had all vanished before his might, roared loudly. After returning from the heavenly kingdom, the mighty demon, who was like an elephant in wrath for the sake of sport, dived into the deep ocean, which was roaring terribly. On his entering the ocean, the aquatic animals who formed the host of Varuna were stricken with fear and ran far away. Thus, Hiranyaksha showed his splendor without dealing a blow. A report by Srila Prabhupada. Materialistic demons sometimes appear to be very powerful and are seen to establish their supremacy throughout the world. Here also it appears that Hiranyaksha, by his demoniac strength, actually established his supremacy throughout the universe, and the demigods were afraid of his uncommon power. Not only were the demigods in space afraid of the demons Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha, but so also were the aquatic animals within the sea.
Okay, very good. Do you have something to say about that?
They sound scary.
It's scary. No, he's a demon. Oh my God. Let's go on now with Chaita. You want to read this?
Thank you, Haribol. Okay. Srimad Bhagavatam 3:17, 26 through 31. Moving about in the ocean for many, many years, the mighty Hiranyaksha smote the gigantic wind-tossed waves again and again with his iron mace and reached Vibhavari, the capital of Varuna. Vibhavara is the home of Varuna, lord of the aquatic creatures and guardian of the lower regions of the universe, where the demons generally reside. There, Hiranyaksha fell at Varuna's feet like a low-born man. And to make fun of him, he said with a smile, "Give me battle, O Supreme Lord. You are the guardian of an entire sphere and a ruler of wide fame. Having crushed the might of arrogant and conceited warriors, and having conquered all the Daityas and Danavas in the world, you once performed a Rajasuya sacrifice to the Lord. Thus, mocked by an enemy whose vanity knew no bounds, the worshipful Lord of the waters waxed angry. But by dint of his reason, he managed to curb the anger that had sprung up in him. And he replied, "O dear one, we have now desisted from warfare, having grown too old for combat. You are so skilled in war that I do not see anyone else but the most ancient person, Lord Vishnu, who can give satisfaction in battle to you. Therefore, O chief of the Asuras, approach him whom even heroes like you mention with praise." Varuna continued, "On reaching him, you will be rid of your pride at once and will lie down on the field of battle surrounded by dogs for eternal sleep. It is in order to exterminate wicked fellows like you and to show his grace to the virtuous that he assumes his various incarnations like Varaha."
Okay. I'd like Jayashree to end up with reading this little purport. Thank you, Chaita. A little talk.
Purport. Asuras do not know that their bodies consist of the 5 elements of material nature, and that when they fall, they become objects of pastimes for dogs and vultures. Varuna advised Hiranyaksha to meet Vishnu in his boar incarnation so that his hankering for aggressive war would be satisfied and his powerful body would be vanquished. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the third canto, 17th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Victory of Hiranyaksha over all the directions of the universe.
Oh my goodness, thank you. Okay. All right, well, this is a very meaningful chapter. What did everyone get out of this? What is the main theme here that we're talking about? Anyone have a comment on that?
Hare Krishna. One thing that occurs is that only a resident of Vaikuntha who's been empowered by the Lord can create such a sensational adventure. It can and is qualified to become an adversary of the Lord. It's just what yeah, that's about it.
Very good. Jayashree, thank you. Jayashree?
I was just going to say, even though these two are demons and they're very bad demons, they never forget Krishna. It's like their constant meditation. So just like Kamsa, or there are others, but it's totally different, I think, than what we're dealing with here in the material world right now.
You mean she's saying that the demons of this material world that we come across now, they're not thinking of Krishna, but these two demons.
No, not even in a negative way.
Right.
Well, I've encountered some demons who actually were angry at Krishna until the last breath. When I did Sankirtan in Los Angeles, and one man, I said, don't you want to die? He said, you said death to me. And he was like so angry, my God. So, and they actually hate Krishna. But if they just say it, just like Prabhupada would get an article negative about Krishna, and how many times did it say Krishna? Good, we are successful. Premananda, did you have something to say?
No, I don't have anything much to add. I was just reflecting that. So of course, this is a pastime that has been arranged by the Lord to fulfill His desire to fight. But at the same time, He is giving us a message that no matter how powerful you may be, you'll be vanquished one day if you don't surrender to me. So it's very important that we all surrender to Krishna and take this process of Bhakti Yoga very seriously.
Right. In so many different ways, just like Lord Brahma, and he said, look, this is Krishna's work, and the demigods were satisfied with that. And also through the battle that is up to come and the introduction to it, we are seeing also in the purport Prabhupada saying the same.
It's also interesting that within the framework of fulfilling his desire to fight, so many other lessons are also included in the lines of the events taking place.
It's amazing. The Bhagavatam is like that. Everything is a lesson, everything. And not that you only get one lesson, you go deeper and deeper and deeper with all the other lessons. Ian, you have a question or a statement?
Just a comment that whatever happens, we should not be disturbed.
Good.
Yeah.
And why is that? Why shouldn't we be disturbed?
We should not be disturbed.
Why?
Because we know that it's the plan of the Lord, and the plan of the Lord has to go on.
Okay, very good. It is the plan of the Lord.
Yes.
Thank you. That's wonderful. Tisha, did you want to say something?
Yeah, for me, it's just like the story, right? Is so compelling that you find yourself, if you're reading the story, you find yourself throughout the day, you're thinking, oh my God, this big demon, or the jewels he must have had, just all the details in the Srimad Bhagavatam really make you remember Krishna, whether you know all of the important lessons or not. There's still an element in the simplest way, the fascination of the story. Yeah.
Good. Very good. That's what, and it is said that this is like the rising sun. Krishna has appeared in literary incarnation as the Bhagavatam. So we are directly associating with Krishna when we read the Bhagavatam. And when we discuss like this, Krishna's in the center. This is a jewel. It's a wonderful jewel. Okay. Anyone else have something to say about this week's lesson? And if not,
It was
Pati?
certainly wonderful to be with everyone again. Thank you very much for
Yeah.
everybody joining us. These are tasty, getting better.
Very
Every week
tasty.
we
Yeah.
get a little
Hari
more
Bol. It's
tasty.
great. It's
Thank-
great to be back together with both of you.
Ah,
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you. I had a real, I was missing you all too during this last episode. Thank you, everyone. Please accept my obeisances.
Sankalpa
Vanchakalpa
Tubbhastha,
Tarubhascha,
Kripa
Vaishnava.
Lord
Everybody
Raha.
Hare Krishna.
Hari
Hare
Bol.
Krishna.
Oh,
Hare Bol.
thank you.
Praise to Prabhupada.